Crises will come and go, but the strength of your brand is going to be determined by how you weather those crises and those recessions. Today, we're going to talk about how to build a crisis-proof or a recession-proof brand. And these strategies are going to apply to small businesses, nonprofits, and freelancers across the board. So let's jump in. Hi, my name is Steven, and I run a company called SparkFlow, and I help nonprofits, small businesses, and freelancers to build their brand online. And right now, we're in the middle of a crisis, a recession. The coronavirus quarantine has impacted a lot of businesses significantly, and everyone is struggling, but it's really kind of determined which businesses were prepared and which ones were not. Those businesses that didn't really have a strong audience or build their audience online are facing potentially closing down their doors completely, while those that already had a strong online presence that diversified a lot of their income and already did a lot of their sales online, they're still struggling, but they're also pushing through. So today we're going to look at some of the strategies of the businesses that are succeeding and how during this crisis you can start building those into your brand so that when the next crisis hits, you'll be better prepared and stronger to be able to weather that event. So the first way to build a crisis-proof brand is to expand and deepen your online presence. Now, there are a few ways to do this. First, you just want to cover your bases and have the basics down. So that means having a website that people can actually visit and get information from. It's actually surprising how even in 2020, a lot of brands, local businesses specifically, don't have websites. So first, get a website. Next is to also be listed in all the relevant listings. So if you have specifically like a location-based brand, be on Yelp and be on Apple Maps and Google Places and every place where people can will actually search and find you. If you're a nonprofit, make sure you're listed in Charity Navigator or Charity Star or Navigator. One of those. There's a few of those different ones. If you're a specialty type of business, make sure you're listed in whatever directory people look for you, whether it's like, lawyers, doctors, dentists. They all have their unique platforms. So schools, make sure you're listed on those so people find you. Next is also to have an email list. If you're in the online space at all, you probably heard tons of people just hound you about like build an email list, but it's important. Seriously, just build an email list. Have a way to actually communicate with your potential audience, your customers, even if they're not your customers yet, people who are interested in your brand. You need a way to be able to communicate with them, and email really is the best and most direct way. Even though sometimes it may land in spam, you have a better chance of communicating with your audience than through email than on social media. But next, you also need to be on the social media platforms. And really my philosophy is be everywhere. Be on as many platforms as possible, but also limit it to knowing how much you can actually handle. So it's good to have a presence everywhere, but then focus your actual marketing efforts on a handful of channels. If you're a limited brand, focus on a handful of channels that you can manage. So whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, just pick a few of them and really build an audience, build a wide audience and a deep audience that's deeply engaged with you and your content. It's a great way to be able to communicate with people during a time of crisis like this. And then expand into other ways of communication, such as video and podcasting, like I'm actually doing now. And I'm actually ashamed to say this is the first time that I've actually expanded this particular company into video and podcasting. I've done it for a lot of other brands, but not necessarily for myself, even though I know I've needed to. So this is the start of me doing this. But video and podcasting and whatever other medium comes out offer great ways for you to connect directly with your audience. So during this specific time of crisis and quarantine, when maybe your business is slower and you might have a little bit more free time, really focus in on those things. So next is to go digital with your business, and there's a lot of different ways to do that. So first, if you are a local business that sells physical products, find a way for people to buy online from you. So that may mean making a purchase online and then you ship it to them, or if you're really a local community-based business, then have people come and pick it up. Specifically in this quarantine, when businesses are closed down, like the businesses that are succeeding are the ones that can still bring in money online. So that becomes really crucial. Find a way to get all your products online and all your services online that people can browse and make purchases online. And if you are a service-based business, depending on what you actually do, it kind of depends, whether this is possible or not, but bring your services online as well. So for example, if you do any type of counseling, coaching, consulting, teaching, bring that online. Find a way to allow you to do that service with people on video chat or on a phone call, something like that. Maybe find a way to teach that as part of a video that people can buy and then they just watch. It really, some services you just can't do online, obviously, but for the ones that you can, find ways to bring those online. Now, in terms of accepting payments, whatever you are, whether you're a business, freelancer, nonprofit, take digital payments. If you take mostly cash, that's fine, but provide those options. So obviously the basics, make sure you're able to take credit cards and or PayPal. Other ways is to expand, make sure that your payment processor is able to take Apple Pay, Google Pay, Samsung Pay, all of those different venues. And then also, if possible, try to expand into other payment methods as well, such as Venmo or Cash App, since people are starting to use those a lot more, even text to pay or text to donate. There's a lot of different platforms that allow you to have a lot of different payment options, and no matter what industry you are, you should be able to take money in as many different ways as possible. And then finally, try to build a mobile app. A mobile app allows you to communicate with people more directly. If it's on their phone, then they're able to, you become a presence in their daily lives. You're able to push notifications to their phone. It makes it just easier for them to interact with you in any way. So whether it's providing content, providing information, allowing them to make purchases, getting feedback, invest in getting a mobile app. And now it doesn't mean you have to pay tens of thousands of dollars to a developer to create an app for you. There's actually a lot of platforms where you just pay a small monthly fee, and it's almost pretty much like a drag and drop app where you can build it on your own and just have the key things that you need to be able to reach your potential audience and customers in that way. The next step in building a crisis-proof brand is to have reoccurring income, and that there's a few different ways to do that. So if you're a nonprofit, that means monthly donations. Those are so essential to your nonprofit to have income flowing in steadily, because here's the thing: when the economy starts declining and people's budgets start tightening up, they're going to consciously or unconsciously donate less. But if they're already donating monthly, they may just let that go because it's easier to keep that going than to, kind of go in and like have to cancel it or whatnot. So, and that applies across the board to almost anything. It's easier for people to just keep their subscriptions and to go through the hassle of canceling things. Now, that doesn't mean you make it difficult for people to cancel. Make it easy for them. But it's just, it kind of puts up a little bit of an extra step, and people are more inclined to just keep paying you, which is a good thing, especially during a crisis. So monthly donations for nonprofits. If you are a service-based business, find a way to have provide some kind of reoccurring service or maintenance for a monthly subscription. So if you're performing, like digital services or whatnot, like this is the easiest thing to do, where you just have people pay a small fee and you're providing them with, a certain amount of service each month or maintenance each month. If you're a more physical based service, find a way for people to for you to provide ongoing teaching, consulting, or providing that service for a monthly fee. And then if we enter another kind of quarantine situation like this where people aren't able to interact with each other or do business, you can easily find a way to maybe replace that like online for them, so that they still keep paying that fee, but you're also providing value to them. Another method, especially if you sell products, is to provide a discount for shipping or a certain percentage off. So big companies that have this model are obviously like Amazon and Costco. People pay an annual membership, and in return for that, they get, with Costco, they get access to the lower prices. With Amazon, they get free shipping. So you'll kind of have to figure out like how that works best for your brand. But especially during this time, it's great for people, especially if they pay annually. They've already paid for that year, so you have that income flowing in, and people aren't usually going to cancel something mid-year. So monthly or even annual subscriptions are great for those. And continuing on, if you do provide people with products, another way that you can do this is have people pay a subscription for a set number of products every single month. So it may be curated, maybe you have like a collection that they pick from, but they just pay that monthly fee, and to prevent them from to prevent them from canceling, once an economic crisis hits, have them pay for longer periods of time and have a discount. So maybe have 3 or 6 month, or maybe annual or subscriptions, so that they have paid for that entire amount, but then they're still getting products every month or so for that. The next step is to have diversification of your products and services. So I'm going to list out a few different ways that you can bring in income. You may probably have 1 or 2 of these, but then think about adding on a couple of the others, even if it's just one of the others. So we'll kind of go through them. So the first is a physical product. If you don't sell physical products, consider creating a simple physical product that you can sell through your site, just as an added little thing. So this can be as simple as like something that just shows your brand, or shows kind of the sentiment of your brand. So like t-shirts, mugs, those are really easy. There's also drop shipping available for print products like those, so that you don't even have to hold inventory or buy them in advance. This also works great for freelancers and nonprofits as well, to be able to have just a product that people can easily buy, that you don't have to maintain all that much, but still also communicates your brand out there. Next is to provide services in some way. So if you're selling something physical, or teaching something, a service is just doing something for someone else. So what makes services really good and really easily marketable is that they're usually higher priced. So you're able to do something for someone else. They are limited by the amount of time you have, but it's just another way. So find whatever it is like you're selling in terms of physical products, find a way to maybe help someone with that physical product. Next is teaching in some form. This is a great transition from either a physical product or from a service, where if you're selling something to someone, you can sell a class on how to use it. If you're doing something for someone, you can sell a class on how to do that thing. So this looks, there's a lot of different ways you could do this. This could be a one-on-one thing, such as like a coaching consulting. This can be a class model where a bunch of people are in on the same class and you're teaching multiple people at once. So that just adds another way to bring in business and to expand the service, what you provide for people. And related to that, in terms of teaching, the next thing is to take it online. So if you're doing something physically, this kind of relates to what we talked about earlier, but find a way to take your teaching into a digital format so that you're able to expand it exponentially. So whether that means a live class where you have a lot of people in, or maybe a recorded class where someone buys, the package or the course or video, and they're able to watch it on your own time, and then that really has an infinitely exponential avenue for purchases and sales. And finally, if you are producing a lot of content in terms of your marketing, so you're either doing blogs or social media or videos, and you're getting a good enough audience, you can consider advertising or affiliates. So that means putting banners on your website that don't compete directly with your brand, but maybe complement your brand. Affiliates is where you're making direct connections with specific brands, so that when someone makes a sale through your website, purchasing that other brand, you get a commission for it. So if you have a lot of content, you have a big audience, and you're able to find advertising or affiliates with other brands that may complement and actually help your customers more, then that's a great way to bring in revenue, especially if your particular sales and revenue is going down because of some economic crisis, and perhaps those other brands are still able to maintain and grow. You're still then getting income from those commissions, and it'll kind of help you a little bit during that time. And finally, with your business, you want to develop a culture of experimentation so that you can be flexible. Flexibility and adaptation is key to succeeding in times of crisis. How quickly you're able to change tactics and try new things. And when times are good, that's the ideal time to do it. When times are bad, you kind of are forced to do it. So how do you develop that culture? That means all the things that I listed in terms of trying new products, taking things online, just try those. Every time there's a new social media platform, it doesn't mean you have to go wholeheartedly into it, but just sign up for an account and post a few things. Try it out. If you have, campaign, competition type ideas, try those out. Do a lot of beta testing, segment your audience, do A/B testing in terms of like different messaging, different photos and videos, different types of media, different content. Try starting blogs and videos and podcasting. So just try a lot of different things and see what they do. It doesn't mean you have to devote a ton of time to it. Devote 10-20% of your time towards trying new things so that you get yourself flexible and adaptable to new marketing platforms that may come your way, which may actually help in the future. A few examples of this are Google. They are constantly trying new things that never hit the market, but some of the new things that they do try eventually do make it. So while they were a search company way back in the 90s or 2000s, they had a small team experiment with a product called Gmail. Now, it wasn't like their primary product at all. They were just into search, but their employees were given the freedom to really just experiment and work on these pet passion projects. And what eventually happened was then Gmail became a full-fledged product that's now a part of all of our lives. And that came from basically just a side project, an experiment. Another example is Facebook. What Facebook does is if you've ever logged into Facebook and realized that's different, or then had it changed back, that's because Facebook is always testing and experimenting. And they actually give freedom to their developers within certain limits to test things on certain audiences. And that's why sometimes your Facebook may be a little weird, just because there's a developer that has an experimentation idea. And so they are able to then test it on a small segment of users for a certain number of time and look at the results. And if the results are good or what they want, then they'll implement that on a wide scale basis. And so people are able to just test a lot of things, and that's how Facebook is adapting and changing so quickly, and still to this day is the dominant social media platform. So in order to survive the next crisis, you need to be flexible and adaptable, and that means experiment now and committing time to allow yourself to experiment. So those are a few strategies and tips for being able to weather future events that may happen, how to build your brand to be crisis proof and recession proof. I hope some of those were helpful, and I hope you're able to dive deeper into some of those and be able to start those now while we're in a quarantine, while we're in a crisis. These strategies will also help prepare you and launch you for when the economy opens back up again and starts growing. It'll prepare you to be able to hit the ground running and be able to grow a lot faster. But then when the next crisis happens, whether it's 2-3 years from now or a decade from now, it's going to happen. This will make your brand ready. So if you have any questions about this, please leave something in the comments. If you're going to try something during this time, let me know. Or if you want to connect and have a few more questions about how to implement some of these tips, please let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you found this show enjoyable or helpful at all, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.